Hello and welcome back. In our last video, we saw how to install Kali Linux via VirtualBox as a virtual machine on our Windows computers. For the rest of this course, I'm going to use my Linux machine directly. Everything that I'm going to do is going to transfer over to your virtual machine if you're using VirtualBox. The only thing that might be different is my version of Kali Linux might look a little different than yours because I'm actually using an older version. So the first thing, and the reason why I'm doing this is I just personally feel that the internal recording software on my Kali computer does a better job at capturing audio and video than my Windows computer using the software that I have there. So I want to bring you the best quality videos, so I'm going to be using this Kali machine here. The first thing that we'll note is if I go to Applications and I scroll down to Useful Applications, under my Utilities, I see that I have my terminal program right here. You should have a terminal installed directly on your machine. You can click through it through the Applications menu on the upper left-hand corner. I also think that on your virtual image, you're going to have the terminal kind of pinned to your taskbar up here. You can just click it. I'm going to use a different terminal emulator that I've downloaded. It's called Tilex. It's a great terminal emulator because you can split your terminal and have multiple terminals going at once. It's kind of beyond the scope of our course. We're not going to use that yet. But whether you're using Tilex or the built-in terminal emulator, everything should work just fine. So our terminal is a way for us to interact with our computer in a different manner than the point-and-click methods of a graphical user interface application. So for instance, if I click here and open up one of these programs like the text editor, we can see that a graphical user interface opens up and I can point and click. I can click to save, I can click to open, etc. And I can visually see what I'm doing here. So this is a really convenient way to interact with our computer, and it's the one that we are probably most used to using. However, we can do more and do more efficiently by learning how to interact with the computer via the terminal. Rather than the point-and-click interactions, in the terminal, all of our interactions are via the text. So we have to type some commands here on our command line. The first thing to note is that when our terminal opens up, we are presented with some information right here. This represents our user's name and the host name or machine name. So my username right now is root and my machine name is right now Kali33. So if I quickly switch users, and you can switch users using the su command. So I'm going to switch users. You don't have any other users on your machine right now. We're going to add some in the future. So I've switched users to a new user, mermo, and you can see that the username has effectively changed. Perfect. And so one of the first commands that we're going to learn here is the command whoami. So if I type whoami, it will spit back or output the username, the current username. So right now I've switched users to this mermo user account. And so whoami outputs mermo. Now if I just type exit, it closes this mermo terminal and it brings me back to root. And so we see my username right here. So now if I type the whoami command, we see that I am now the user root. So one of the things that we should be noticing here is that in the terminal, we can very quickly and conveniently switch from one user to the next. And that's something that we're going to do as we move forward and we build our terminal skills. We're going to create multiple accounts and give multiple accounts different privileges and see how they behave. Now, we can get a lot of information about our current system from the terminal using another command, the uname command. So if I just type uname and hit enter, it's going to print certain system information to the terminal. So right now, it's just outputted Linux, which is pretty good, right? That's sort of, I guess, maybe the operating system or that we're running. We're running Linux. It's not saying Windows. It's not saying Mac OS. But if we think about it, we can get so much more information from this command if we use it properly. You see, commands in the terminal can take options, which dictate how the command is run. To specify an option, we can either use a single tac with a character, maybe like tac H, or two tacs and then a full-fledged word, like maybe help. A lot of commands have a help parameter or help option, which is either indicated with this tac H or the double tac help. So let's run this for uname. So in order to see the help documentation, you type the command name, uname, and then let's do tac h. And if we do this, we see that it's an invalid option, but it tells us to try uname tac help for more information. So let's do that right now. So uname tac help. We see some helpful information here on how the uname command can be run. So it says that it prints certain information to the screen. Note here that says with no option, same as tac s. So right, our usage is uname and then you type your options. And so tac s is just the kernel name. It prints the kernel name of the current system. So let's see, if I just type uname, it's with no option, it's the same as tac s. So if I type uname tac s, it should give me the same output. And it does. So it tells me that I'm running the Linux kernel here. Now, we can call uname tac a. If we look at some of the other options here, uname tac a gives us all of the information in the following order, except it'll omit the tac p and tac I for processor and hardware platform if unknown. So let's see, if I type uname tac a now, I'm sending a different option, the output should be different. And it looks like it is. We now see a more robust output. We see the kernel name, we see the network host name, we see the kernel release and version, all of these, etc. And now it looks here like my terminal is getting a little bit crowded, right? I mean, I guess I could scroll up, I could scroll down. One of the things that we could do here is just type a clear command, and it will remove all of the information there and erase the screen. Now, I can pass multiple arguments to a command using multiple tacs. So let's see, I'm going to do uname tac help again to see my command options. And so let's say I want to just print, let's say I want to print the kernel name and the node name. Well, I can do tac s and tac n, and it will give me the kernel name, Kali, and the node name, or the node host name. So my host name is Kali33 right now. I could also just do this with one tac. I could say uname tac sn, and it will print them. I could do uname tac ns, and it will still print them in the same order. So, maybe we're claiming here with not 100% certainty, so I have to be careful that the order with which you pass your options doesn't matter. It seems like it doesn't matter for this command, but maybe that's not the case for some other commands. Now, let's say I want to rerun a command that I have previously typed. I can use the up arrow on my keyboard to look through the history. And so here we see I just keep hitting the up command, and we're going through all of the different commands that I have typed. So now that I've found the one that I want, I can hit enter. Now, anytime we run a command, it's helpful to first check the help documentation using either tac-h or the double tac help. We can also reference the manual or man pages of a command or program by typing in man and then the name of the command. So sometimes the help document won't have enough information for you, but the man pages are normally a little bit more detailed. So I'm going to clear the screen, and if I want to look at the manual pages for the uname command, I can type man uname. And here we have the manual for that. More detailed, we see some more of the information, and we can kind of scroll down, up and down through here. And when I get to the end of the file, it says press H for help or Q to quit. So I can press Q, and it will get me out of that manual. I think this is a great place to stop. We've been introduced to our terminal. We've seen some of the basic terminal information, and we learned how we can enter in commands and look at help documentation to help us sort of figure out how commands work. Wonderful. I can't wait to see you in the next video.